Hello everyone, this is Landan13 here, and today we're doing another Bendy in the Dark revival video. Now today we're going to be checking out the archives, basically. Now the archives is like a digital museum that you get to have a look and basically learn the development history on some of the models they made and some of the characters. But anyways, let's not waste any time and let's go to the archives. So this is very, very cool. This is much more better than the one in Bendy and the Ink Machine. And of course, when we start, we're pretty much we actually don't have a body. We're basically just like Henry. So this is where we exit and go back to the main menu, but we're not going to do that right now. This is the archives. So it says, welcome to the archives. Bendy in the Dark Revival is filled with numerous characters that each had a critical role to play in the progression of the game. Here in the archives you will learn a little bit more about them in an up-close personal way. Feel free to explore. Alright. Bendy, the iconic imp, was redesigned for Dark Revival to stand out a bit from his traditional cartoon appearance. By giving him a suit of clothes, he posed some minor challenges, suspiciously creating a face that spotted the classic Bendy eerie smile, but still managed to be heartwarming in the right conditions. He is a fan favorite, so his design had to be just right. During production, we originally envisioned Bendy to talk with a series of cute squeaks to construct the dark, low voice of the Ink Demon, but this turned out to be very distracting, and the idea was scrapped pretty early on. So originally Bendy was gonna have like squeaks, you know, like that web web comic design, that web animator called the Doodle Demon, basically similar to that, how the demon talked pretty much. But if Bendy did have a voice and squeaked, I would love that already, but it would probably be annoying. So anyways, you got the archives, we all saw them right there. So anyways, we got our human characters. Wilson, cartoon. Wilson was a difficult character to balance. At first, the players are purposely led to believe he is a one-note character, obviously evil with an over-the-top villain personality. But as the story progresses, we see other sides of the character, and the player becomes muffled and who this man really is. In one draft, Wilson was written as a servant of Nathan Arch Jr., a separate character at the time, but the story made more sense when the two characters became one, eliminating a lot of needless narrating complexity. So basically Wilson was basically originally to be a servant to Nathan Arch Jr., but then they realized, hang on, we'll make him the son of Nathan Arch to make it a little bit more interesting. Now we got Audrey, cartoon. Audrey is a kind-hearted, rough with courage, determination, some flaws, and a deep, dark past to make our story work. We needed a newcomer to the cartoon studio world, and Audrey was the perfect fresh eyes to help experience the adventure. From day one of production, we knew that if people didn't connect with Audrey by the end of the game itself wouldn't be successful. Fortunately, she turned out to be quite memorable indeed, and stands out from the other members of the cast. So basically, they were like worried that Audrey wasn't gonna be like popular with the audience, but luckily she was popular. Speaking of which, we have the Ink Machine right here. But before we do get to the Ink Machine, we should go up here, explore these areas. Oh my god! Right, the Butcher Gang. Barley, Charlie, and Edgar, the three original members of the Butcher Gang, were formed from the Ink Machine. deconstructed by Alice Angel for body parts and bonded together to stay alive with sneak attacks on their prey. In Dark Revival, we meet an unofficial fourth member of the gang, Carly, the Ghost Girl. Although, when you begin to examine her closely, Carly appears to only be a shell with perhaps someone inside. Okay. Oh, it just says the same thing. Okay, so you got, I think that Barley. You got Carly. So these are the Butcher Gang. So nothing really much else here. So they are the Butcher Gang members. Okay. Well, we got more down here. Oh, Sammy Lawrence. Sammy Lawrence, the famous music composer of the studio. Sammy Lawrence originally had a slightly larger role in the story of Dark Revival, but in a story already filled with so many characters, making them all play out a meaningful part became a challenge. He was ultimately sidelined in favor of telling a more continuous storyline. Although it is interesting to note that Sammy Lawrence appears to have mastered the flow ability in Bendy and the Ink Machine long before Porter and Audrey could wield it. So basically Sammy was the one who actually had some ink ability powers before Audrey and Porter came along and learned it for themselves. Oh, we got, okay, so you got Alice Angel, or Twisted Alice. We're going to call her Twisted Alice. The self-appropriate queen of the studio, Alice Angel is one of the most memorable faces in the Bendy world. Forever lost in a tide of insanity, she is an absolutely delight to write for a character. An angel with many layers. Time will only tell if this increased temperish will ever reappear. Sorry, I just couldn't read that. So it was Twisted Alice. Here we go. Ship-ahoy Dudley. The determined invention of Wilson, created to serve the dual purpose of dethroning the Ink Demon in the cartoon world, and also upstaging Jolly Drew in the eyes of Wilson's father, Nathan Arch. Neither of these happen. Ship-ahoy Dudley is a mystery sailor with his own eerie grin, similar to that of Bendy, along with his sidekick, Chuckle the Crab. It is unknown what happened of cartoon adventures they would have together. So this is Ship-ahoy Dudley, pretty much, and that's him in the cartoon form. Here we go. Lurker, the Lurker, or Steve, as he became to be known, was originally created as a brute type enemy that would free roam the way the Lost Ones do, but unfortunately felt unnecessary as the random Ink Demon accounts already fulfilled the role of putting in the player on edge while exploring previous transcended locations. In the end, the Lurker found a much better calling as an unlikely ally, effectively expanding him into more than just a typical enemy. So he was originally to be an enemy, like in the trailer for Bendy in the Dark Revival, that the official trailer, he came up barging through the door, but he actually became an ally of the game. Okay, we've actually got more right here. King Widow. Ink Widows have begun to infest where the light glows darker. Their king, the biggest and most feared, will only emerge from his nest when its young are threatened. So this was one of the bosses that we had to fight, and ugly too. Over here, Lord Amok. Ruler of the sewer cult, Lord Amok illuminates how the world of the ink has continued to develop into different societies deep within the darkest places. Though he was weak in a fight, his name will simply never die. True, very true. True. Very, very true. Very, very true. We'll do the Ink Machine last because that's a little tradition I'll be doing now. Okay, let's go and look at the Ink Demon. As the world of Dark Revival became more complex and established, we realized the Ink Demon's design needed a completed rethink to match our new tone. Previous versions of his appearance looked absolutely silly when placed in the world alongside the other characters. No amount of creepy music or screen effects could consider how out of place he looked. The Ink Demon needed to look different than everything else in the world and show a natural progression of the Ink Demon's evolution as Wilson held the cycle in place. So basically, they were originally gonna think of so they had to do a whole new redesign of the Ink Demon. And I'm glad they did. This is a really creepy design. And just putting the previous Ink Demon from Ink Machine into that world just looks silly. So you got the Ink Demon, he looked like a goat or something. Anyways, Beast Bendy, returning for the climax of Dark Revival. Beast Bendy also was revisited with the mindset of making him far more powerful and beast-like. Traditionally, in most horror games, they tend to build to a point where the main villain becomes a final form monster as a final boss. It's particularly a trope. Our idea, what if you got to play as that final form instead? And I'm so glad they actually did that idea because it's actually really clever. It's I don't know, it's just really clever. It's just really clever. And you got the free classic posters. Is there anything over here that I missed? Can't run fast, oh well. You got a little table right there. Oh, speaking of which, Joey Drew, Memory. The man, the legend, the memory. Creating this version of Joey Drew was both an exciting and daunting process. It was clear from the start that this Joey would be different from the one from the original Bendy and the Ink Machine game. This was a man with all the guilt from past life, but without the experience to fully understand it. The real Joey Drew made many mistakes, but ultimately learned from them. This doesn't absolve him of his sins, but at the end of his life, he was able to help correct some of them and help fight the darkness he created. So basically, Joey actually redeemed himself in this game, pretty much. We learned from the backstory, basically, Alice and Pendle basically showed him a different way, and basically he helped Henry in the cartoon cycle world, basically help him find light, and also he created a daughter for himself, and he redeemed himself. Betty, a faithful maid. Among other things to Wilson, Betty was an important character to the story of Dark Revival. As a failed experiment and somewhat relatively new to the cartoon studio, she was able to give a somewhat different point of view on the state of the world. We have purposely left it unclear if Betty was in on Wilson's plot to harvest Audrey, or if she is just a bystander. Behind her mask, there are still answers to be found. So, Betty was a maid pretty much, but she didn't really know if she was if she knew that, Wilson was in on it, or she didn't know that Wilson was in on it. Anyways, we're going here, the Cycle Breakers. Let's start with Henry Stein, the original Cycle Breaker. Henry Stein is a ghost of a man who lost his purpose years ago. Once filled with finding a way to escape the tortures of the Ink Demon and finding his way home to his wife. Very good. They confirmed it. Henry has a wife. Henry is now left with the cold reality of being a recreation of the person he thought he was. Saved as a special surprise for fans of the Bendy and the Ink Machine game, Henry was stripped omitted from all public discussions of the character during the entire productions, which spanned several years, but Henry returned with a very satisfying face reveal. And surprisingly enough, in the third Bendy game, titled Bendy the Cage, we're actually going to be playing as Henry again, so this is a lot more good for like fans, and we finally get a good old look at what Henry looks like. Next one is Allison. Returning for another victory over the Ink Demon, Allison is always the voice of reason, a beacon of hope. Allison's design was carefully upgraded from the previous Bendy and the Ink Machine game to maintain her personality, but with more fidelity. The purpose of meeting Allison so early in the campaign was to introduce the player to a familiar face after the main introduction. At the start, Allison was able to serve as a mentoring force for Audrey until true plot kicked in later. So basically Allison was there to guide Audrey, but then later in the story we didn't really need her after that. But anyways, let's have a look at Tom. Tom is Allison's silent protector and the only Boris clone involved in the main story. Where is Boris the Wolf? Rumour has it that during the events of the game, Boris is experiencing a dark survival story of his own. We actually did see Boris. We actually did see, Boris in one of the events in the game. And oh, here we go. Oh wow, okay. Nathan Arch Sr. Nathan Arch was everything Joey Drew wasn't. He worked hard, built up from nothing, and never never complained his intelligence. Joey had big dreams, but Nathan accomplished his own dreams. He and his wife Tessa raised a son with as much love and cared as they could despite Nathan's career pressure. Sadly, his son did not share Nathan's natural talent for business and empire. Yeah. Audrey, the unknowing daughter of an animation pioneer, Audrey has blocked out the memories of her past after losing her father. But his role in her life was not over. A talented art animator and artist, her skills landed her job at Archgate. Was it fate that led her to reunite with Joey Drew's machine, the machine of her birth, or was it planned? So basically they were basically saying that the Ink Machine was actually Audrey's true father, basically birthed from the Ink Machine itself. So pretty much I like that idea of it. Here we go. Wilson, haunted by the impossible shadow of Nathan Arch. Wilson sought to achieve something that would make his father proud. By luck, he stumbled upon the Ink Machine and was able to become the cartoon world's new master. Holding the cycle in place, he continued to experiments that could not fully be realized until the Ink Demon was purged. However, unfortunately, entering to and from the Ink Realm has taken a toll on Wilson's physical being, slowly robbing him of his health. So basically, Wilson was coughing and stuff. Basically, it was killing him slowly. Here he is. Got Bendy. Got all the classic posters. Yeah. So yeah, there's one more thing we have missed, but it's something I saved. The Ink Machine. The Ink Machine, designed by Thomas Connor of the Gent Corporation, stolen by Joey Drew, retrieved by Archgate, and once again reclaimed by Gent. The Ink Machine's next adventure is a mystery. So this machine is very, very important to the story. It's basically where Audrey was born from, but also it basically kick-started the cartoon world. So here's the machine itself. It's not that big because in the original game it was much more larger, but it's basically the size as this. But yeah, we can actually walk up to it now. We actually get a really good look at it now. Of course, you got the ink on the back here. That's really nice. Of course, the chains are actually connected onto the things now, so that actually helps it vary a lot, actually. And it says welcome. So there's like dried up ink coming out of the machine, and the machine just looks more dirtier and more destroyed a bit. So yeah, so they're hinting at a possible fourth game in the franchise. Basically, the ink machine will be seen again. Very important. But anyways, yeah, that was the archives. Bendy's pointing to the exit. Alright, Bendy, I will go to the exit. We can actually go to the exit now, so that Nate. So yeah, so that was the archives of Bendy and the Dark Revival, and that's pretty much it of all the Dark Revival content I got. So next time when we're going to be playing a Bendy game, it will be Bendy the Cage. I can't wait to play that and play that on the channel for you guys. But anyways, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to click the like button, click the notification bell, and click the subscribe button to become a Team 13. Really helps that channel a lot. But until next time, that's Landan13 signing off now. Bye!